everyone, and welcome to today's Marvel's Midnight Suns dev stream. My name is Rachel Sema, and I'm a senior producer here at Firaxis. I'm joined by Jake Solomon, creative director on Marvel's Midnight Suns, and Garth DeAngelis, franchise producer on Marvel's Midnight Suns. Today we're going to be bringing you some live gameplay of the game in Mission. We're also going to be taking some questions at the end of the stream, so make sure to drop those down in the chat. For everyone who is new to Midnight Suns and checking out the game for the first time, can you talk a little bit about what to expect?
I can. So Marvel's Midnight Suns is a tactics RPG set in the Marvel universe, in the supernatural, the spooky side of the Marvel universe. And RPG means it's the first of its kind for us. Our team has never made an RPG before, and that's really exciting. It was terrifying for a while. Now it's exciting. First RPG from Marvel Games, and so it's really exciting for us. I'm thrilled to finally be at this point where we get to actually just play the game for people.
Yeah, and this. I think, you are a diehard fan of Marvel, which we have a lot of members of the team that
Very
sort of have that love for the treasure trove, which is Marvel. But I think, as a team, when we started this project, we wanted to make something that could really be your Marvel adventure, something that you have never played before.
Yeah.
And, you can speak a lot to the books and the Midnight Suns, which we can get to in a little bit, but we also have a lot of team members.
I can.
We'll be here for 2 hours, I'm sure. But we have a lot of members of the team that have been lifelong Marvel Games fans as well, too. Going back to Maximum Carnage, going back to X-Men Legends and those types of games. And there's been so many that have really fulfilled the fantasy of being a superhero in battle. And we wanted to give more than that. We wanted to give more beyond just battle, where you can also build relationships with these very dynamic personalities that have their unique origins, their unique motivations, and step into the shoes of a customizable character and interact with them.
Right. There's two powerful fantasies, and one of which we're going to show today. Obviously, a very powerful fantasy is seeing these Marvel heroes in combat and controlling them. That's a great one. There's also the fantasy of what are these heroes like outside of combat, and we're going to show that in another live stream. We're going to show a little of that today.
A little bit. We're going to tease it.
Show a little bit of that today, which is cool. But yeah, you're exactly right. We wanted to put the player into the middle of this story and let them live in the Marvel universe, and so that's what we hope to do. But today, we're going to show just some of the big scope that the game has.
Yeah. And we're also celebrating an anniversary of another game that you both worked on. Can you talk a little bit about that for a second?
That's right. I missed this.
Do not forget your anniversaries,
That's right.
Your wife will get upset. And this one was brought to my attention, which
I can't believe I missed this. Did you miss it?
I did miss it originally.
Oh my gosh.
I saw some amazing commentary online with from XCOM Enemy Unknown. And it's the 10-year anniversary. For those of you watching that have been with Jake and I and the development team, it's pretty incredible that we're still working with some folks from Enemy Unknown. But there were some really great messages online about what that title has meant to everyone 10 years later, as sort of being a benchmark in the turn-based tactics. And for us to potentially have the opportunity to hopefully do it again with Midnight Suns, I think is a unique opportunity in the game industry.
Yeah, it's all been a road to this point. XCOM, obviously, we love that. And in fact, this project started out, we thought we were going to make XCOM and just drop some superheroes in, and it was going to be awesome. And it was terrible.
The plan just blew up in our face.
And this is where we're about to show, right? And so tactics games are a puzzle. And what you're trying to do is every turn you're presenting the player with a puzzle that's almost unsolvable, that's endlessly interesting. And puzzles require randomness. And so in XCOM, the randomness is, is this shot going to hit? How much damage is this going to do? But when we did that with this version, with superheroes, it felt terrible. That's not the superhero fantasy. So in Midnight Suns, every ability does exactly what it says it's going to do. It does exactly the amount of damage. You just can't predict when that ability is going to be available to you.
Yeah, and it feels a lot better in the shoes of a superhero that way.
Yeah, we didn't set out to make an entirely new tactics game. That is absolutely not our intent, but that's where we ended up. But now I'm really happy that we get to show all the team's work, and here we are.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. So now that we've heard a little bit about the game, let's get started. Let's jump into the mission.
Let's do it.
All right. So what do we have here?
All right, so we are in a general mission in New York City. A large portion of the game takes place in New York. And one of the great things about this game when we talk about your Marvel adventure, and it's been very important to the team, is that we have an enormous hero roster. So you want to talk a little bit about these heroes, and I'm actually going to get started playing.
You get started.
Because
you
again,
get
you
started.
talk about the new system. It is so fluid and fun to play.
To tell,
You can play
we're in
pretty
a
quick.
non-story mission,
Right.
right? This is just going to be one encounter. We're going to rip through these bad dudes here. I hope, Garth, right?
Let's see.
I have not seen this mission. I didn't want to see it before we played. I want to do this live.
You know, we are doing it live.
We are
so
doing it live.
Things can go sideways as a disclaimer
Yeah.
to everyone. But we're going to do it live and go through right now.
Yeah, so we do have a large roster of heroes. That was always really, really important to us. We pulled from the entire Marvel Universe, every corner of it. So we have supernatural heroes, of course. We have heroes that are from the original Midnight Suns comic, Doctor Strange
Yep.
and Blade and Ghost Rider, although it's a different version of Ghost Rider. We do have Johnny Blaze in the game as a narrative character. But we have this large roster of all these different heroes because that's kind of the fun of this, is finding all these different styles of heroes, combining them, finding the different synergies between them. And it's a big part of the narrative as well, is this idea of the Avengers, they face a threat that they cannot possibly handle on their own. They're definitely out of their depth, and so they have to lean on the supernatural characters and the Midnight Suns to come in and help them.
Speaking of, can you talk about the 3 characters that we are playing this mission with right now?
Yeah. All right. So we have Doctor Strange, we have Captain Marvel, and we have Blade. And so players are going to be, people may be more familiar with Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange. They featured in the Marvel movies recently. But of course, it's hard to believe anybody wouldn't be familiar with Blade. Right, Garth? Your personal favorite?
I love Blade. I think we had some early pre-production favorites, and we definitely wanted to get him in the game as something to bring back to the spotlight.
So design-wise, what we really try to do is make sure that every hero feels, well, what happened to Strange? Did he get dazed by the...
He got dazed
Okay.
by the shield guard.
All right. I got to talk about the gameplay in a second. But yeah. So every hero has their own skill set. They really need to feel unique. So Blade is great. I mean, he deals damage. He does great at dealing single target damage, multi-target damage, and he can apply the bleeding effect, which deals damage over time. Doctor Strange is much more of a support hero, so he can build up a resource called heroism.
Oh, we're about to see a combo.
There we go.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
but
we
we're
got
doing
it.
some
We got
cool
to check
stuff.
this out.
I mean,
These are all so cool.
part of the beauty of this game is, and I am playing fast, because I want our community to see, like, there's so much depth to this system, but you really can fly. I mean, one of the early gameplay pillars was that we can make this playable to anyone that may want to try something new in the turn-based tactics genre. So we're moving fast, but there's so much that we haven't talked about yet. We did quick plays, we got refunds, we just did a hero combo there.
Yeah, and I thought Blade and Captain Marvel had amazing chemistry on that combo, don't you?
They did have
Don't
good
you
chemistry
think?
there.
Oh, inside joke. All right, so, and yeah, we see, this is what's special about Captain Marvel, is that you drew the Go Binary card. So again, talking about how each character, I won't, but Captain Marvel is great because now that she's gone binary, when you play a certain amount of cards, she can go binary. She is an absolute nuclear weapon. Like, she is the strongest once she goes binary.
Yep.
So she's doubled her offense now, and as long as she keeps her block, she's going to stay super, super strong. But she requires a lot of heroism to use appropriately, which is why we brought Doctor Strange, because he generates a lot of it.
Yeah.
And one of the things we just did too, this is a shield guard, which is a special type of enemy that was protecting this truck. Just like in XCOM or any good tactical game, you're not just always beating up the enemies. You need objectives.
That's right.
So we used that combo to break through to the shield guard, remove that protection, and now we were able to get the supplies, which you'll be able to bring back to the Abbey.
Right, before the truck took off.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, we do have over 20 different mission objectives. There are so many different things that you could do in a mission. Sometimes you're just taking out the bad guys, but many, many times you are doing completely different things. Protecting something, trying to destroy something. Oh, we got a marksman here.
Yep, he was concealed.
Right.
And that's a good point, that there's, 13 playable characters on the hero side, but there's also a huge breadth of enemy characters as well.
Yes, a huge breadth of enemy characters. A lot of what we've shown have been Hydra, but of course, you should expect a lot of very powerful supernatural enemies to appear a little bit later in the game, and we'll show that in some of our live streams.
Yeah, we're actually going to show some later, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so make sure you stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so this is, again, the enemies have their own sort of niche that they fill. So we had the shield guard, which we took out. The marksman is incredibly dangerous because not only can they mark heroes, and then on the next turn they will absolutely KO them, but they also can conceal themselves when they take damage. So they're a very tricky enemy to face off against.
We actually got a question from the chat from ZSC6. Could we elaborate on the combat animations a little bit? Sorry, the combat items a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Garth, you want to show them real quick?
Sure.
That's a hardcore question. We're going to
Yeah.
start.
It is a hardcore question. I didn't even know
People
that
are getting to the
existed.
meat of it. They want to know what's
Let's
up.
get into it. All right, so combat items are things that you build back at the Abbey. And again, we'll show the Abbey. Obviously, this game, like many games we've made, there's a whole other side to this game outside of combat. But back at the Abbey, you can research and build combat items. Some of them are specific to heroes, so you'll need that to have that. You'll need to unlock something with that hero to start researching this combat item. Combat items are free. You can use them, and then they will grant. We have so many combat items, so many different combat items that can grant completely different benefits. So you can instantly get a boost by using a combat item, but combat items are consumables, so every time you use one in combat, you've got to go back and build something to replace it back in the Abbey.
Let's actually use one now.
What are you going to use?
So what I actually just did here, and if you are a fan of tactics game, which most of you are, I'm assuming, movement and positioning is absolutely critical. One of the cool things about our game, and one of the different pieces of what's underlying it, there is no grid in this game. But movement is still a very, very important decision that you have to make at certain points. So I actually just moved Captain Marvel to this position because I wanted to take out 2 enemies, 2 Hydra units with one of her special heroic abilities, Photon Beam. You only get 1 move per turn, right?
True.
But I think we have a special combat item here, Agility Serum.
Yep.
So let's use that.
So this is how the combat items work, right? They're instant, they are free. You have to spend resources to build these things. But using that allows you to...
Oh, I cannot shove. I thought I had my shove. That's my fault. Oh, all right. Well,
hey guys,
I already used my shove this turn, which I forgot about.
This is live, and we want to remind you that your choices have consequences. And so now you see how combat items can work. That's right. You have another combat item. Now you can, again, there's a whole lot of research you can do. You can have up to 3 combat items per mission. We're at the point where we have 2. So don't worry, Garth. We have another one we could use if we wanted to. We wanted to.
Yeah, and what I really liked jumping into this from the start is that you have things that are really deep, like combat items and ways you can upgrade cards. But if you want to play and you're a beginner, it's also really intuitive to jump into.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is definitely a game where we've really tried to work on flow.
Yeah.
To where, like, as a player, you're kind of guided through this experience. You wake up every day in the Abbey. There are very clear things for you to do, and then you jump into a tactical mission. And so, yeah, we really try to work on to make the flow very smooth. And then, depending on how the player wants to play the game, they want to ramp the difficulty up. It's up to them basically, and then they can make it to where every choice matters intensely. But yeah, I think any good tactics game, we have choices, they matter. In XCOM, you can almost fail at it, and I think Midnight Suns, especially at the basic difficulty levels, it's more about how well can you play this game. Now you want to ramp the difficulty up, and it becomes a case where every decision is life or death.
Yeah, and as we've been talking about the fact there's so many characters in the game, will I, as a player, be able to unlock all those characters through gameplay from the start, from launch?
Yes, so all characters will be unlocked through gameplay. Some of them are tied to the narrative, so they may come online later. But yeah, you'll unlock all the heroes through gameplay. And there's so many of them. I think that's kind of the fun, is that there's so many characters here that you really have to focus on. You'll develop like this A squad of heroes that you always take on missions if you can. Then you'll have this B squad of heroes, but there are 13 heroes, including the Hunter, in this game. And so it really is the kind of thing. It's also a very replayable game because of that. Like, you'll play through, and again, we've played through I don't know how many times, but every playthrough you find yourself, okay, I'm gravitating towards these 4 or 5 heroes, and then you'll want to play again because you want to see how the other heroes work.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about Doctor Strange as well? We've hit on Marvel and Blade. What is Doctor Strange's role in the team?
Yeah, so Doctor Strange we would classify as support. I mean, every hero is capable of pretty strong offense, but Doctor Strange is really a very powerful support character. So he does a lot of things that will draw new abilities into the hand. He'll add a lot of heroism. Oh, how'd we do? 2 stars.
Nice job, Garth.
Messed
Nice
up
job.
on that combat.
2 stars.
Yeah, no?
That's not, well, that's true. But yeah, that's good. Okay, so, and we do want to talk really quickly.
Yeah, Jake, we should talk about. I mean, this might be a Marvel Comics fan dream right here. If you want to give a quick overview.
Right. So we call this the photo booth. So you get a comic cover at the end of every mission. You can make these yourself back at the Abbey, but every mission will give you one. And then it generates these. Those are actually 3D scenes. So you can go in and you can edit to your heart's content. What characters are here, their poses, their expressions, the backgrounds, the text, all of those things are editable. And this is the return of the random generator, which we always like to have in our game, right? We like to create user-generated content that people can share. So, you know, a lot of the team names that may appear will be randomly generated. So we really hope people have fun with that.
It's an awesome way to showcase all the different characters in the game. So let's take a look at the next mission. We're going to go load that one up via the Abbey.
Yeah, before we get there, we talked about the scope of the game, and we're talking about the roster of heroes today, but again, we wanted to hint a little bit that this is much more than just a brand new tactical combat system. There's a whole other half of the game where you are able to live in the other side of a superhero's shoes.
We should point out that this was a mission that we didn't take the Hunter. We'll talk about the Hunter later.
Yeah.
Right? We'll have a live stream devoted to the Hunter, but really we're trying to show off, in just an attempt to show off all these heroes, you know, we're doing missions without the Hunter for now.
Right.
So we've returned to the Abbey. We just went straight to sleep, which typically you don't do, right? Typically
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going to get to that you can do at night.
Right. And so we'll
we're just
have
not showing them off today.
Right. So we have the Hunter here, and yeah, there's a lot of things for you to do around the Abbey. This is a very basic Hunter's room, by the way.
Very basic. I mean, this is fully customizable, right?
This is, yeah, you can absolutely deck this room out to be a little bit nicer, interact with. Hey, look,
Oh, there's Steve over there.
there's Steve. He looks a little sad, but that's okay. I'm sure he's not. It's sad to think about Captain America being sad. So, yeah, so obviously there's so much gameplay here that we're not going to touch on today, except for our puppy.
There's Charlie.
That's Charlie.
We did get a quick question.
Yes.
Question from Mash Triangle. Do we have to have Hunter in our party at all times?
I
no.
think we just showed no.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mash Triangle.
Now that's different between general and narrative missions.
That's right.
That's
So,
right.
yes, thank you, Rachel. The narrative missions, there are certain heroes that are going to be required. And a lot of times a Hunter is required on the narrative missions. Not always, but most times. The general missions, which are non-story missions, which you will have to go on to recover resources, those will not require the Hunter. And in that case, you can take the heroes of your choice.
Great.
So, Jake, remember that comic cover we just made?
Oh, this is one of my silly favorite features, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a small feature, but I love this thing. Uh-oh, Blade's over there talking. Yeah, see, there's drama. There's always drama back at the Abbey. Right.
I love the idea of having a poster of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually sneak into the heroes' bedrooms and you can put, you know, photo booth pictures of yourself. You can take pictures of yourself and make sure that every picture in Iron Man's room is of you. So I like to do that because
There is
I'm
so
weird.
much to do in the Abbey, but we
Yeah.
are actually going to
Yeah.
cut it off right now because we have a whole other mission to get to.
That's right.
Right.
Yep, we're going to load up the other mission. And also, just as a reminder, we are going to be doing future streams, as you alluded to, that will cover in-depth topics like the Abbey. It sounds like we have a couple of questions from the chat. So first question is from our friend, Christopher Odd.
There he is.
We want to shout him out. We want to
Yeah.
say
Shout him
hello,
out.
Christopher.
he's
Odd.
awesome. He's awesome. He's basically dev team, right? So
Yep.
he's incredible.
All right, question
a
from
question?
Michael Carlson.
Okay.
Are you able to increase your squad size?
No. Now you will go on missions with variable squad sizes, but now, and you know, I would say that was my least favorite. That was a design decision I made so early on in XCOM that like I always felt was not the best thing ever because it was you had to increase your squad size,
Yeah.
right? So no, you can't increase your squad size. You will have missions of varying squad size in this game. Expect that will happen. There are ways, speaking of magic here, I don't know if she has a reinforcement ability, but she can summon in reinforcements.
Yep.
So you can, I don't know what we've shown, what we are going to show, but you can.
We're about to
you
show some cool magic stuff. Actually, do you
Okay.
want to give an overview? We can go back to gameplay and talk about this mission that we're on, which is
Yep.
pretty incredible. And this is, we've shown a lot in New York, first of all. This clearly is not New York. And we're also going to be showing a different suite of enemies. We're not getting fully to the demons yet, but we're starting to go towards that pathway with the Hydra Mystics and the Shadow Hounds.
Yeah, that's right. So we are in a mission where we have Hydra mixed with the enemies that we call the Lilin, right? And so they are more supernatural enemies here. So yeah, we've got some Lilin here, and there is a huge roster of demons for the player to fight. We've only got a couple here. And if Garth doesn't play his cards right, there will be more because we have these mystics over here in a summoning circle. Again, just one of the many, many objectives. We're trying to stop this summoning circle.
And how do we stop that circle?
Well, you got to damage the mystics to break them out of their spell cast, out of their summoning, basically.
Okay.
And can we talk briefly about the 3 characters that we've brought on this mission?
Yes, we have everybody's favorite. Well, not everybody's favorite, but most people's
Yeah,
favorite.
if you
mutant.
have the right opinion.
Yeah, Wolverine, my personal favorite mutant, which is Magic. So we'll talk about her a little bit more. I was a very big New Mutants guy growing up, so Magic, love her. So we have 2 mutants, and then of course we have Iron Man. And so this is the kind of fun thing is like pairing. There's so many pairings you can do.
Magic does crazy stuff, and we'll show one of her
so
AoE
cool.
abilities right now. But I know how much you love Magic, so I wanted to set it up for you.
Yes. So Magic is a teleporter. So she is the queen of this other dimension called Limbo. And by accessing that other dimension, she has the ability to teleport enemies. And we really, really leaned into that with her ability set. So she is all about control. So positioning enemies, knocking them around the map, and she's awesome.
Right. And before I go back to gameplay, I just wanted to call out how pairing those abilities with the objectives that you're trying to overcome. There were 3 mystics that were trying to stop their summoning, and we used Magic's gather ability to, in one swoop, take out these 2 mystics. So they're not summoning any longer. We still have a bit of the puzzle we have to break through, which is this final summoner, which is being protected by the shield guard.
Now I would say like any objective, it's not that straightforward because now that you've broken them out of their summoning, they're active, right? So now we have 2 mystics that are active and ready to fight. And mystics, they don't always need a summoning circle to bring in demons into the battlefield. So I'm sure you have a plan, Garth. I'm sure this is going to go just great.
Oh yeah, it's all down in stone, and I'm sure it will not change.
Right, and there's the guy who's the best he is at what he does.
We do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Yep. From Gaming Q, Little Chaos Katie. That's a great name.
Okay.
How many difficulty modes will there be?
8. There are 8 difficulty modes. It goes all the way from story, where people want to experience, the narrative and not get, bent out of shape about difficulty. We have normal mode, which is, again, a pretty straightforward mode that we really feel that everybody should be able to play on. And that mode is more about how well can you play the game, not about worrying about losing it. Then we've got 3 heroic difficulties where it gets tougher. And then at the very top, we've got 3 ultimate difficulties. One thing we should point out is that the difficulty modes unlock over time. So as you're playing well at a certain difficulty, it will unlock higher difficulty modes, and the player can choose to play those higher difficulty modes. And there's benefits to that. If you play at higher difficulty modes, you will earn more gloss, which is the cosmetic resource, an in-game cosmetic resource that you use to buy new palettes and things like that, or cosmetic things around the Abbey. You also earn more experience. So your heroes earn more experience and will level up quicker if you're playing at the higher difficulty modes. Garth, what are you setting up here?
Setting up one of my favorite things you can do in the game, which is set up Magic's portals.
Okay,
portals.
great.
So what we're going to do here, again, with sort of the meta goal of getting through to this final summoner so she doesn't summon this giant demon from hell, we have to start breaking down this shield guard's block. So what I'm going to do is set up a portal here. I'm going to use this ley line, which acts as an explosive.
Yeah, so that's like an explosive element on the map. So if you knock somebody into it, they will kaboom.
And let's see, we can send an enemy through it.
All right. Your choice being?
Let's take this one.
Okay. So instead of knocking them back, Magic doesn't necessarily knock them back in a straight line. She knocks them through her portals. So yeah, Magic is so much fun. She takes a lot of thinking to set up properly, but she is one of the most powerful for sure if you're willing to sort of like strategize how you're using her teleportation abilities.
That's right.
And it sounds like we've got another question from the chat about difficulty.
Yes.
All right, so this one's from OnSpot TV.
Okay.
Can you switch the difficulty during the game?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. You can switch difficulty during the game. So yeah, we actually the game asks you to. So again, as you're playing missions, after you complete a mission and you do really well, so based on those star ratings, if you do really well, then the game will say, hey, you've unlocked a higher difficulty. Would you like to switch to this now? And you can at any time. You can switch at any time. And we talked about the added bonuses of doing that. But yes, you will, in fact, switch difficulties during the game. And enemies don't just get tougher. I mean, they definitely get tougher. They deal more damage, but also will do things like take away your revives. So whenever a hero gets knocked out, you're going to get a revive card that'll allow you to revive that hero. Those go away at the highest difficulty levels. You get fewer of them at higher difficulty levels. There are more reinforcements that come in for the enemies at higher difficulty levels. So yeah, it just gets tougher in multiple different ways.
So related question, is there an Iron Man mode? Quote unquote.
There isn't, and I do really regret, I mean, obviously that is a no-brainer. So yes, no, there is no Iron Man. People have to play what they call honest man. You would have to say, all right, I'm gonna delete my game because, but no, we do not have an Iron Man mode. But we do have an Iron Man.
One more question.
Yo, Garth, you better take out the shield guard, son.
I know. He's still got a little bit of block there, and if you haven't picked up on it yet, it's the blue bar above the red hit point bar. So we have to whittle that down before I have an opportunity to attack that elegant mystic back there calling forth these demons.
One new question from Blodnu. How many
From
stars
what?
from
What?
Blodnu?
Blodnu?
That's right. How many stars can you get in a mission?
Well, you can get 3. You have to play really well to get 3. But you can absolutely get 3 stars down to 1. And you'll see in the mission summary screen. We'll take a look at that after we complete this mission, if we complete this mission. We will take a look at how we reward Gloss, and it will tell you what you need to do to like earn the best. And you can replay these missions as well, of course.
Have you talked about quick attacks yet, Jake?
No. As fundamental as they are to the game.
Do one here.
So quick attacks, most heroes, almost all heroes have these. Oh, that's such a cool move. So quick attacks, if you KO an enemy with a quick attack, you get the card play refunded. And card plays are by far the most valuable thing you can have, since you can only do 3 cards per turn. And
right.
Oh boy.
I know, I'm not gonna be able to use it here, but one of the cool things.
What items do you have?
No, let's see if we got an extra.
Because maybe you could combo knock into
Concealed taunt.
No
you know,
bueno.
We'll drop a rock on it.
Okay.
For now. But if you have, I've been using quick attacks a lot throughout this whole.
You've been spinning moves like crazy. Come on, G-Man. Garth loves when I talk mess about his playing abilities in front of a live audience. Don't you, Garth?
Have we talked about the shove abilities here and the?
No. So yeah, there's negative space. I don't know if we've talked about that. The ability to shove. I assume we have that we have that station built so you can shove enemies. Have you shoved anybody yet?
In this turn, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll show it on the next turn.
But yeah, we have negative space all throughout the game on these maps. You know, you'll have negative space whether it's off the edge of a building. And here, you know, the Summoner's Pit is negative space. And so it is virtually the only randomness in this game. This is unlike XCOM, we do not have randomness. So one of the only elements of randomness is when you try to knock people back into negative space, into a hole, basically, right? We call them
Into the
drops.
summoning circle.
Right. Then, yeah, wouldn't that be great? Have her consumed by her own summoning circle. there is a chance, depending on the enemy's health, that they will just be completely knocked out. They will just fall back into that pit and be, knocked out.
Which we actually did show in the beginning of the live stream. I took out the specialist, knocked him into the pit, which was awesome.
Yes, I remember
It's great that you have those.
I remember that very well. All right, so, okay, yeah, this is a mystic ability, very dangerous. She has opened her own mini summoning circle. So now we have to be careful about that. And the problem with that is that you can't stop that unless you actually KO her. So she is going to start calling things out of the deep, out of that mini portal. Now you got 2 portals to hell. Garth.
Oh, we got her.
All right.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take out one of these minions. We can show now the quick attack. Let's take this guy.
One question from Requiem of Demons. Can you respec the hunter?
Oh my gosh, these are great. Well, sure. I mean, I think that the way this game works, there are a lot of ways to respec. Right. So because the way that you can choose the abilities of your heroes is simply by going in at the Abbey and saying, yeah, I'm going to give you, basically, I'm going to put this card into your deck. So you choose what abilities every hero brings into combat. And you just go in there and say, like, yeah, I'm going to put in this ability, take out this ability. So you can have cards in reserve, and you can swap them at any time on the hunter or any hero. You can also craft, if you build the right Abbey upgrade, you can then craft any ability that you've seen before. So you can always, at any time, respec your heroes. You're going to have to spend resources to do it. But yeah, it's very easy to respec all of your heroes, especially the hunter. And the hunter is a good point. We're not going to talk about the hunter too much here, but the hunter has many, many, many abilities. So respecing the hunter is something that happens pretty often.
So I just marked up this mystic to make her vulnerable and was able to use the heroism that we got from the quick play to take her out in one swoop.
And she was marked, which means that if you KO her, like the quick effect, if you KO her, the card play is refunded, right?
Yep, that's right. Now this is pretty cool. So this guy's in overload right now, correct?
So he is going to blow up.
Let me see if I can. One of the things I love about this title from a tactics standpoint is sort of the game of pool you can play. Where
but you
like
used to move. Garth, you feel good about this move?
Yeah, because I wanted to show up, that you can push these guys around. He's going to take some damage from his buddy there on the next play. And that's part of the push and pull on the battlefield, which is pretty fun.
So yeah, you can see that now. If you go look at them real quick, you can see that she is forecasting that she's going to take a lot of damage, and she's going to take that damage because you knocked her into the radius of our shield guard, who's about to blow up.
One question, actually, from your daughters, Jake.
What?
Yeah, Jen Solomon on Twitch.
Oh, boy. Yes? Daddy, will we finally see you? Is this game finished? Yes, girls, I'll be home.
No.
I'll be home. Yes? What is the question?
The hunter has a companion, Charlie.
Yes.
Can Charlie help fight the hunter in missions? Fight with the hunter, not against the hunter.
Yes, girls. First of all, I love you very much, and you shouldn't be watching this. This game is T for teen. So, yes, you can. This is it's a legendary ability, but the hunter, depending on what type of hunter they are and the choices they make in the Abbey, if they're a really good hunter or they could be more of an anti-hero hunter, depending on the choices they make, they can unlock a legendary ability which allows them to summon their puppy into combat and fight with them. So yes, to answer your question, you could have just asked me at dinner tonight, but okay, I'm fine with going over Twitch.
That's right.
Let's see if we can.
Cool, and is this our last enemy?
This is our last enemy.
All right.
And I think we'll be able to end strong with another hero combo.
Okay, so, and this is why you use that skill. So tell people, you use that skill because skills actually give you more heroism than attacks.
Yep.
So by using a skill, you generated more heroism, which gave you all the, oh wait, no, never mind, you already had enough. But
Well, no. We had 3. We had
Okay.
3 heroism before. So I used that skill to get me to 5 because the hero combo card cost 4.
Right.
So,
we were
oh my
gonna
God,
see,
we sound nerdy.
and
But
this is what,
fun.
if you love Marvel, you get to see Wolverine and Iron Man team
Heck yeah.
up, you know, in an awesome attack.
And huge shout out to our animation and audio teams for making these combos so cool.
Phenomenal job. Phenomenal job.
It really is part of, I think, the everlasting appeal of not getting tired of these missions, how amazing the visualization looks for all of the abilities. So yeah, the combat gameplay team, animation, VFX, audio, all the engineers that worked with them, it's
How do you think you did?
incredible.
How many stars?
Come on!
Oh,
Set that up.
Oh, no.
That's
Oh, you're
I gotta
story
watch myself. Your
difficulty.
daughters are watching.
It's story difficult.
I am?
Oh, boy.
I was talking to you.
All right.
It's your
Well,
fault, Jake.
to show off different difficulty levels, we'll be doing different ones later.
Yeah, you'll be jumping up.
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, here you can see, actually I don't know why you got 1 story. I guess because of the 5 turns there.
It took me way too long.
Yeah, and you can lose stars if heroes get knocked out, but it doesn't. Again, this game is not about losing so much as it about doing as well as you can, right? So there are ways if Garth had gone faster, potentially, which I'm not saying you should have. I'm just saying you would have earned more gloss, which is the cosmetic resource you use to dress up your heroes in the
I don't
Abbey.
want more gloss. I have plenty of cosmetics.
I'm happy you're happy, okay?
So we are going to be taking some questions. So make sure to drop some questions in the chat,
Yes.
and we will be answering some.
Yeah.
I think we've got one.
Did you? Yeah, this is a random name here. The Marvelous Revengers. Right?
Yes.
So our random name generator has returned for
All right.
Sons.
Nero Pirano Angel asks.
You were good at these names. Yes.
1 second. It's coming in.
Okay. Do you want to write? Oh wait, they can't see the screen.
Did we approach Marvel, or did Marvel approach us?
Marvel approached us, actually. So the way this game came about was that after we finished XCOM 2 War of the Chosen, we were approached by Marvel, and who said they were big fans of XCOM. And that's always nice to hear, but you never know, right? People will say like, oh, what do you do? And you're like, well, I work on a game called XCOM. They're like, oh yeah, I love that game. You're like, man, maybe they do, maybe they don't. The first call I had with the Marvel Games team, they had extremely specific feedback about soldier abilities and the finale mission. And this was coming from their vice president.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, no, they know the games that we make, that our team makes, and they wanted that. And so that has been the best partnership. Honestly, our partnership with Marvel has been awesome.
Yeah, we've said it a lot, so at the risk of repeating ourselves, but it has been such a huge boon to this project. The Marvel Games team, they love games, they understand them. They were always behind what we wanted to do to, hopefully, as you all can see, and you haven't even seen the wonders of the Abbey yet, but we're really doing something different. We're really swinging for the fences, and Marvel Games team was behind that. They wanted something different, which was awesome.
Yep.
All right, a question from Carl.
Hello, Carl.
What a normal name.
I know.
Can
Was
you
that a
use
switch?
any can you use any other
Rich.
weapons with Hunter other than their swords?
Well, yes and no, right? So you're always going to be dual wielding, and that comes from again, we want the hunter to have an iconic silhouette like Marvel heroes, and they need to have, and this goes back to the look of them, and we worked with Marvel Games a lot. We created the first original customizable superhero with the Marvel Games team. And so having a silhouette that is iconic and recognizable was really important. That comes down to color blocking, comes down to the silhouette of the double swords over the shoulders. And so the hunter will always wield the swords. However, there are abilities that use different, energy weapons, magical weapons. They
Mystical
manifest.
whips.
Yeah, mystical whips. There's a Morning Star at one point. So they always have the dual swords, but that doesn't mean that that's the only weapon that they use in all of their abilities.
And the swords themselves look dramatically different too, depending on what
That's
type
true.
of outfit you earn for the hunter. And there's a lot of different outfits, not just cosmetically back at the Abbey, but also in combat.
Right.
What you want to wear, you can earn them through different ways.
They're all through gameplay, right?
Yep.
You can unlock 10,
Definitely through game.
hunter skins, and so and then the weapons look dramatically different depending on the skin you're wearing.
Cool. While we tee up another question, what are your favorite heroes?
Oh, that's is difficult. Do you mean
changing
gameplay-wise or like?
In the game?
Yeah.
Blade was, so I'm going to cheat and say two. Blade, I had a huge interest in bringing him back to the spotlight. I think he's an incredible Marvel character. Before we started this project and before, obviously, a new Blade movie is being made, I think those late 90s Blade movies with Wesley Snipes were incredibly compelling, particularly the first one. So an opportunity to put him in a video game hadn't really been done before, and I'm really glad we did that. And I love vampires. But Nico has really turned into my favorite after playing with her a lot. She is such an interesting catalyst in the story that sort of represents the Midnight Suns, the young portion of the Midnight Suns, and what her intentions and interests are. And gameplay-wise, she's absolutely compelling with her the randomness of her abilities.
And we will see Nico on the next live stream, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I gravitate. So Magic's my favorite character from the comics, right? She's always been my favorite character from the comics. I gravitate when I play every time if I'm not careful, because as a designer, I really try to play different heroes on every playthrough, but I always gravitate towards Ghost Rider. I'm a Ghost Rider guy, and so Robbie is awesome, and we will show Robbie on a later stream. Incredibly powerful, but his abilities come with a cost, right? So you have to be careful with Robbie because he's so powerful, but he's always either hurting himself or the squad. There's always a cost to pay, so he's really fun to play. So I end up gravitating into a Ghost Rider playthrough if I'm not careful.
Yeah. Another question from chat. How is the UI experience between playing on a console and playing on mouse and keyboard?
I flip between them, right?
Yeah.
So I think you probably play and controller more, right?
Yep.
I flip between them interchangeably. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we can show that. To me, they both feel great, right? And I will just, depending on what machine I'm playing at, one of mine is set up mouse and keyboard, one of mine is set up controller, and they both feel very good, very fluid. An enormous amount of work from our UI team, from our engineers went into making that feel interchangeable. But yeah, there's no loss of functionality. It feels different, obviously, playing with either control scheme. But yeah, I probably do 50% on both, and I feel good with both of them.
Cool. Question from Brittany B.
Okay.
Are trophies and achievements affected by difficulty level?
No, we do not do. No, we're actually not doing that in Midnight Suns. So we do not have trophies and achievements affected by difficulty level. So rack them up, man.
I love all the difficulty questions with this with our community here.
Well, we've got a history, right? We do
have a history, and to the team's credit and the design team's credit, we have all those difficulty ranges.
We do.
Because we knew we wanted this game to be a bit more approachable. There's no doubt about that. We didn't want Captain America to die on a mission, right? We didn't want permadeath. But we do want some of these puzzles to be extremely challenging if you want them to be. And that's why we have all those difficulty modifiers.
Yeah, and maybe we will do one mission at Ultimate. I will play it and embarrass myself at Ultimate.
Oh yeah, in the future, yeah, you should.
I'll be happy to do that. To show how difficult it can get. But that's why it's one of my regrets from a design standpoint on the XCOMs was that we didn't have more difficulty variation, because we don't want this game to be, difficulty should never be a bar to anybody playing, right? It should be accessible to everybody. So that's why we have these 8 difficulty levels, is that you can make this game exactly what you want it to be.
Cool. Question from Meta Ray Matt.
Okay.
How long do you think it's going to take players to complete the story?
Conservatively, I mean, it's at least 45 plus missions, right? And that's unlikely, right? Because you're not just going to do exactly what you're required to do. So
I would say 50 hours.
50 hours.
I think a minimum is maybe 45, 40. That's really if you're just straight lining it, golden path. None of the optional content, no additional missions. And there's so much optional content. But we have also had a lot of user tests, and we've had a lot of folks play the game that are playing upwards of 70, 80 hours as well, too. And that's even without them doing all the additional content. So, again, we cannot wait to get into this in a future stream, but this truly is an RPG. And, the game is is at your discretion. You can go really deep into it if you want.
Yeah.
But it's cool though,
I mean, easily the biggest game our team has ever made.
And we wanted that. We wanted it to be huge. And again, we are trying to make this for everybody too, that you can play for 80 hours. But if you're someone like me, you got your kids, someone like, Daddy, what are you doing in the basement playing this game for 80 hours? You can still enjoy the story, and you can straight line it, right?
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
you can beat it in a quicker amount of time. And the story is absolutely incredible. So there's that option there for you. If you don't want to get all the abilities and level up all of the heroes from a relationship standpoint, you can just straight line the story.
Yep.
Cool. A question from Frigo Lit.
Okay.
Is the hunter customizable? Can we choose gender, appearance, all of that?
Yes. Yep. The hunter is customizable both in appearance. You can make the hunter look the way you want, and you can make them play the way you want. So the hunter, which again we'll talk about in a future stream, they have triple, actually more, the abilities of any other hero, because it's important for us that you're able to customize the gameplay of the hunter. So you can absolutely change the way they look, unlock up to 10 skins, which have countless palettes that you can then apply to those skins, and then also you can customize the way they play as well.
And that was really important to us too. I mean, there's moments in production where like, can we make this the visual look of the hunter this different, right?
I was never
can
worried.
we support?
Never worried at all. I was never worried.
But again, credit to the team, the
Yes.
character team. They figured it out. We were able to really determine how to get multiple genders and all of the face customization as well too. It's important. I think this is one of the first games you can step into the shoes of your own customizable hunter. So if you want them to really take a different form, you can now do that. It's not so locked down that they always look the same for everybody.
Yep. We want the player to put themselves in the Marvel Universe.
Yep.
That's what we want, is to put themselves there however they want.
All right, question from Midnight Son of a Guns. Great name.
It's not bad. It's not
That's a
bad.
good one. That's good. What you
All
got,
right,
son?
so this is a big one. Is Charlie actually Mephisto and behind everything?
Dang.
Oh yes, everybody's. There's always, whenever you watch the, lately the shows or the movies, everybody thinks everything's Mephisto, and Mephisto he's an interesting character. Charlie is not Mephisto.
Dang, you weren't gonna let him speculate?
No,
All right,
Shut
just
down.
want to make sure.
Charlie is a hellhound with a heart of gold,
Yeah, Charlie is.
and I'm not gonna talk about Mephisto.
Yeah.
Also, another very important question. Can you pet Charlie?
Oh yeah, you not only can you should.
You absolutely should.
You
There's
should.
gameplay benefits to it.
Yeah. Yep. I was trying to be circumspect, but yes, as Garth says, you should. You absolutely should pet. You should pet your puppies. You should pet them if you have them next to you right now. Pet your puppies. Pet your cats. They're not going to like it, but you can pet your cats. But speaking of cats, well, yeah. But
Yeah.
We have more than just the.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So for the cat lovers, what do we have?
we do. There is a cat, and like all cats, much harder to find than the dog. Right? Is not as always waiting for your attention. But there's a cat around the Abbey as well, so you should keep your eyes open for that. But yes, pet your pets. They're good boys and girls. Yeah.
All right, from Jackson Lane 02.
Okay.
Can building a relationship with one hero negatively affect the relationship with another hero?
Good question. When we thought about that, and not through the relationship system. There's a couple ways that this plays out. So you will have events throughout the day around the Abbey. We call these, this is a developer term, we call these incidentals. But as you're walking through the Abbey, you may have cases where heroes are arguing, and you're going to make a choice. And one is going to result in friendship here and a loss of friendship there. And you can make that choice. We also have, again, to talk about the RPG, the hunter, you can choose a path for the hunter, which is more light path, a little more of a dark path, hero versus anti-hero. When you do that, you're going to form affinities for certain characters. The way you talk, the way you respond to different situations, you're going to form an affinity for certain characters. And you can imagine how, all these heroes work together. Is Captain America and Blade a match made in heaven? Probably not, right? They probably have different affinities. They probably respect each other. But I think that the hunter has to choose the path, and you can choose a path in the middle, but you're going to choose a path that's a little more aligned with some more heroes in the Abbey, and then that's going to affect those as well.
Yeah, and hopefully we can show more of that as we dive into the Abbey systems. Okay, a couple more questions from the chat.
Okay.
So one from Mark Prime.
I wish you would hold your earpiece.
Okay, yeah, no, I know. I feel like a
cooler,
secret agent a little
okay.
bit. Okay.
Right. Mark Prime. All right.
Okay, if your character is hurt or injured in combat, will they have to sit out from future missions until they're available again?
Have to? No. So hurt? Absolutely not. So we have an injury system. And the way this works is that characters getting hurt doesn't matter, right? Your heroes get wounded. You saw there, right? Like our heroes got injured. It doesn't really matter. You're going to go back to the Abbey. Everybody's going to be healed up. If your character gets injured, if a hero gets injured, which is possible, and then you have to get really, really hurt in a mission, if that happens, they can gain an injury. And there are lots of different types of injuries that heroes can gain. But again, you can still take an injured hero into combat, and you might have to sometimes. You might have a mission that you're like, I need to take magic on this mission. However, she is injured. If you take magic on that mission, then there will be gameplay repercussions for that. She may have special cards now that are inserted that are like, oh, this reflects her injury. It may say, oh yeah, magic can't use environmentals, or she can't move, or she starts at half health, or whatever it is. There's many, many different forms of injury. So you can always take your heroes into combat. But if you get them injured, which is a lot different than getting hurt, then there's repercussions. Of course, like anything in this game, you can also build an Abbey upgrade that fixes that almost immediately, and not only fixes it, gives you a combat bonus if you have an injured hero. So there are a lot of ways to mitigate that as well.
And that goes hand in hand too with one of the themes of what we're talking about today, which is the extensive roster. It feels really good. I mean, you're gonna have a love for your A squad, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of mechanisms in this game that require you to use your B squad and even dip into the C squad. Injuries being one of them. And again, you can mitigate that, like Jake said, with Abbey upgrades. But that rotation and getting a taste of each of the heroes is really, really important. We want you to play with them all.
And story-wise, every hero, even as big as this roster is, the reason the game is so long, every hero has their time in the spotlight, right? Yeah. You are going to play with each of these heroes. You absolutely are going to. And you'll find yourself in situations where you think you're going to be, oh, these are the heroes I really love. And then you'll have a mission because you're like, oh, okay, now I'm going to take Nico, or I'm going to take Iron Man, and I haven't played with them before. And you'll be like, actually, I love this hero. Now I start playing with this hero. So you will play with every single hero on the roster. You have to. But you'll also be encouraged with different gameplay mechanics as well.
Cool. All right, our final question.
Yes.
Comes from?
Please, it's not my kids.
Jason Voldemort.
Oh, okay.
Is there a limit to how many cards you can have inside of your deck?
There is. So there's a limit to cards in your hand, but it's very big. It's 10, right? So it's rare that you reach that case. There is a limit. So the way that this works is that every hero brings 8 cards into combat, and it's up to you, the player, to determine which of those cards they are. There's some rules about it, but you, over the course of the game, especially with your favorite heroes, you are gonna customize what abilities every hero has, and you're gonna say, these are the 8 ones. And it gets really tough with the Hunter, where there are so many abilities to choose from, but you can say, all right, these are the 8 abilities they bring into combat. Every hero brings 8 abilities into combat. Now you can unlock things like the combos. Those come out of friendship. So as you increase friendship with other heroes around the Abbey, then you'll start saying, okay, not only are each hero bringing in 8 cards, then we're also going to throw in some combo cards as well. So that's how that works.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for your amazing questions, and thank you both for being up for answering all of them.
Thank you, Rachel, for hosting.
I am happy to do it. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social platforms, which we'll throw up here. That will be where you can find out when we're going to go live again and do future dev streams, digging in even deeper to the content. We will also be doing pre-orders, so we'll throw the link up here and in the chat as well, and check that out. Anything else before we wrap up, guys?
I'm just so happy we're here. I'm so happy we're playing the game with people. That's all we want to do, right? Our team is so incredible. They've done such an amazing job. I'm glad their work gets to be shown to people. I'm glad that we're at this point.
Yep, we're at that point, and it's really satisfying to show it off, and we hope you all enjoy it too. Like Rachel said, we have a lot more coming. It means a lot to us too as devs that just like with XCOM, when we go into a mission, we're not tired of playing, and
No.
we think you guys are gonna hopefully have that same fun experience. I guess the last thing is the game's coming out December 2nd. It's going to be coming out for PC, Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and we're going to give you guys more information about PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and Switch very soon. So definitely check out those pre-orders and the Legendary Edition. We have a lot of stuff coming around the bend.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again in our future dev streams.